Hello, everybody, and welcome to another fun episode of Psych Opinion. Tonight, if you haven't guessed, with my friend here, we are doing demons. So we haven't covered demons yet.
I've spent eons privy to the flames, inhaling the decay, hearing the wail of the damned.
And we picked a couple movies that we're going to compare and contrast here as far as demons are concerned. First, I wanted to go ahead and start off and see if any of my colleagues here have researched demons and have any idea of where demons came from. And if they don't, then I will share where I feel like I have found that they come from.
I don't know where they come from.
Do you know where they're going?
Into someone's body.
Only demon I know is Cotton Eye Joe.
Well, what I've got here is that, so I was like, what is the difference between like evil spirits and demons? That's kind of where I started. What I found is it can be difficult to distinguish demons between a demon and an unclean or evil spirit. In Judaic theology or contemporary scholarship, both entities like to inhabit wild or desolate places. Commonly, the unclean spirit refers to diebucks. Rob, help me out with pronunciation.
I'm not really sure.
Not really? Okay.
What you're trying to say.
The diebucks. Yeah, anyway. Spirits of deceased persons who were not laid to rest and thus became demons. So basically what we're talking about are like people that do not have peace when they die and not laid to rest properly. So demons like superstitions, actually. I mean, they started everywhere. Every religion has demons. Every culture has demons. There is demons everywhere. And that part of the research is kind of more or less the difficult part because, you know, you really need to narrow it down kind of to be able to not just have your head explode, spin in circles, and shout out a bunch of crazy stuff like you would if you were, ironically enough, inhabited by a demon. So, what I've got here is the term demon is derived from the Greek word daemon, which means a supernatural being or spirit. Though it has commonly been associated with an evil or malevolent spirit, the term originally meant a spiritual being that influenced a person's character. The Greek philosopher Socrates, for example, spoke of his demon as a spirit that inspired him to seek and speak the truth. The term gradually was applied to the lesser spirits of the supernatural realm who exerted pressures on humans to perform actions that were not conducive to their well-being. The dominant interpretation has been weighted in favor of malevolence and that which forebodes evil, misfortune, and mischief. How many demons are there, you ask, Jen? Well, I'll tell you. It's hard to say. There is hundreds of thousands of demons. Actually, a quote from the Bible is, Jesus then asked him, "What is your name?" And he said, "Legion," for many demons had entered him.
For we are many.
We are many, yeah.
Anyway.
What was that from, anyway?
What is that from?
What, Legion?
I am Legion, we are many, or whatever.
Is it from
What was that
Legion?
from? Might have been.
Could be. I don't know. It's
I just don't remember.
A lot of different things.
Here it's from the Bible.
Yeah,
So.
that's the beginning of Legion.
Oh, that thing.
Yeah.
I've heard of that.
The good old Bible. So I don't know if any of you found classifications of demons. It's actually quite interesting because there's a lot of different people throughout history who have kind of made their own classification of demons. Sort of a hierarchy of demons, if you will. And what those demons mean. Like what they do, technically.
The classifications can get kind of wonky depending on, if it's just demonology in general or if it's off of one specific theological belief system.
And that's what's really interesting, Rob, actually, now that you mention it, is because, like, for example, in Binsfield's classification of demons, he's got them kind of broken up like the sins. Like, you have Lucifer, which is arrogance, Mammon, who is avarice or greed, You have Amodai, who is lust, Satan, who is wrath, Beelzebub, who is gluttony, Leviathan, who is envy, and Belphegor, who is sloth, or laziness. So, kind of interesting there that it was broken up in that way. And some of them work on that, but they also have others included. But they also, one of the interesting ones that I thought was kind of interesting was they have a classification by month, because during the 16th century it was believed that each demon had more strength to accomplish their mission during a special month of the year. And in that way, his assistant's powers would work better during that month. So that's kind of more into the, it's kind of almost more astrological than it is
Did you say what
religious,
month?
if you will. I didn't say what month. Is there a month you would like to know?
What's the
October.
Yeah, that works.
October is Baal.
Ah, okay.
The
I've heard of
demon
him.
Baal.
What about March?
March is the demon Satan.
That's creepy.
Is that your birth month?
Yeah.
Oh.
June is Berith. Well, anyway, if anybody's interested, hell, I'll go down the list. So, Belial is January, Leviathan is February, Satan is March, Belphegor is April, Lucifer is May, Berith is June, Beelzebub is July, Astaroth is August, Thamus is September, Baal is October, Asmodai is November, and Moloch is December.
Hmm.
And
I
Moloch
know a
is an
little bit
important
about
name.
him. Yep.
So that's going
We'll
to
be getting to
be,
that.
yeah, Moloch is going to be coming up in a little bit here. So anyway, that's a little bit about demon history there. It's really interesting, and like I said, there's a ton of it. I may add more as we go, but really what we're kind of talking about tonight is these three movies. So we looked up some great movies that have demons in them, and we couldn't talk about 1,000 movies, so we narrowed it down to three that I think are very good representations and very different representations of demons, which are The Exorcist, Drag Me to Hell, and Sinister.
Holy shit.
So, I guess we should probably just go ahead and start with The Exorcist, since that's the most old school, and we'll kind of go from there.
I feel like it's kind of the quintessential demon movie.
Yeah.
Yes, it is. So I'll start.
So,
I mean, I have notes, but yeah.
So
Whoever
if you
wants to
haven't
start.
seen The Exorcist, Liza,
Oh, you haven't seen The Exorcist? Really?
That's too scared.
all right, so
scary.
it was noted as the world's most scariest movie, but that was also 50 years ago.
Exactly.
So,
I don't really know if it
it's-
would be considered that now.
nah, I don't think so. But
I mean,
then again, it's all in the eye of the beholder. Some things are scarier to others.
That
So
is true. Very true. You should give it a try, though. I mean, you like horror movies.
I do.
well, The Exorcist, I think is just classic. It definitely stands up there with all of those greats. You know, I mean, I would say it's right up there next to Psycho and Texas Chainsaw and Poltergeist and all of the many, many amazing classic movies, and kind of was a trailblazer a lot. I mean, I was watching Exorcist for the show just to kind of catch up a little bit on it because it's been a little while, and I really felt like while I was watching it that a lot of movies that do deal with exorcisms or demons kind of copy The Exorcist in some ways and certain kind of scenes and ideas, if you will. But I think The Exorcist was kind of the first major one, and they did it definitely, in such a way that people want to capture that as well.
it definitely laid the groundwork for a lot of things.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So if you
Very
haven't seen...
memorable.
It is. It's absolutely. So if you haven't seen it, Liza, I will explain it to you. First of all, it's one of the most profitable horror movies ever made. This tale of an exorcism is based loosely on actual events. When young Regan, who was played by Linda Blair, starts acting odd, levitating, speaking in tongues, her worried mother, Ellen Burstyn, seeks medical help, only to hit a dead end. A local priest, Jason Miller, however, thinks that girl may be seized by the devil. The priest makes a request to perform an exorcism, and the church sends in an expert, Max von Sydow, to help with the difficult job. It was released on December 26 of 1973 in USA. It was directed by William Friedkin, distributed by Warner Brothers and Warner Brothers Pictures. It was adapted from the book The Exorcist, and in the box office it made $441.3 million.
That's a lot of money.
Yeah.
That is a shit ton of money.
Especially for back then.
Absolutely. So in this movie, what we're dealing with, the demon that we're talking about specifically, is Pazuzu.
Pazuzu.
Yeah.
So I will let somebody else go with something here, because honestly, these people do not pay good money to hear me talk and ramble on for hours at a time.
Well, I think it's interesting, because in the movie, they don't mention the name Pazuzu once.
They do in the second one.
Yeah, but in the first one, like, they show the statue and, like, some of the face pieces at the archaeological dig site at the very beginning. Well, I think the figure shows up again. You see the face a few times, but they never say Pazuzu.
Oh, they do say Pazuzu in the book, though. I read the book quite a while ago. But yeah.
I was going to mention the book, which is actually called Legion, right?
Legion, I believe, is the second one, is it not?
Yeah. I have The Exorcist. It's called
so.
The Exorcist.
Okay.
Yeah, The Exorcist, I believe it's the second book, is the Legion, where Pazuzu actually tries to get revenge by, I think he possesses, the Gemini Killer? Is that what it is in Legion? And tries to get his revenge for being exorcised out of Regan's body.
Oh, I never read Legion. I should, though, since I've read The Exorcist.
Now you know the gist, sweetheart, so pick it up. So it's interesting because Pazuzu is implied in the movie a lot, maybe by people that know a little bit more about demons. I don't know. I think people knew more about demons back in the day. They had nothing better to do, sit around and read about demons. So it's interesting because Pazuzu is actually the god of the southwestern wind and is associated with the plague. Pazuzu was invoked in an anthropoic amulet. So the amulets, they combat the powers of his rival, the malicious goddess Lamashtu, who was believed to cause harm to mother and child during childbirth. So, it's kind of interesting because, that amulet that you would see would actually, in some circumstances, be a protection thing.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of interesting that they used that as kind of the catalyst of what all went down.
That is weird. In fantasy, amulets are always protection.
Yeah, he is he's probably the most famous and maybe even the only really well-known demon from the Mesopotamian period.
He was in North Carolina.
What?
Well, that was Pazuzu Alagar.
Yeah. Pazuzu Allah Alagrad.
And that was a whole different situation, which actually may be an interesting episode topic in the future.
Oh. Pazuzu from North Carolina killed 3 people, and the Pazuzu in the first movie killed 3 people.
How strange.
Oh, that's creepy.
I know who you guys are talking about. I watched some documentary thing about that.
Yeah, Vice has a really good documentary on him.
Yeah, he was in North Carolina.
There is a whole mess about that case, and it is a very interesting case, and I would love to talk about it sometime. I feel like we can't get into the depths of it at the moment.
Right.
Because he wasn't an actual demon. He was just some psychotic nut job who wanted to be a demon, probably.
Yeah, and I think my brother met him or something, or he went to his house. Something random.
He went to his house? Does he have a story about that? Should we interview him?
Yeah, he does. I was talking to Jake about that.
Oh.
Anyway, back to demons. Well, folks, you might have that coming up. Back to demons. Jen, why don't you go ahead and give us some notes?
On Pazuzu?
Why don't you tell us what you think about Exorcist or Pazuzu?
Okay, well, some of what you said I already had in my notes. So we might be hearing, similar information. But yeah, Pazuzu. I love saying that name.
Pazuzu.
Pazuzu.
That's
AKA Captain Howdy. Made famous in modern times by the Exorcist movies. Has the feet of an eagle, paws of a lion, head of a dog, tail of a scorpion, and 4 wings. Half of his head
of a lion.
Half of his head is skinless with his skull exposed. This powerful demon embodies a dread pestilence believed to have been carried by the southwest wind, known as a killing wind. Pazuzu is a demon which carried disease in households in Mesopotamian mythology. He is the son of Hanpa, king of the underworld demons. He is king of the wind demons. He breathes locusts, creates poisonous clouds of gas and acid, speaks many languages, has some telepathic abilities, and has a magical greatsword that grants him speed and agility. Which sounds, I don't know, kind of like D&D to me.
Does it sound like Snicker Snack?
Oh, yeah. Like the Jabberwocky poem.
I'm going to say that sounded a lot like a character you'd
Vorpal
make
sword.
up for
Yeah.
D&D.
I know, right?
Vorpal sword, right?
Well, I have a +8 dagger of ogre slaying.
Roll
he
2d10.
What?
Roll 2d10.
Oh.
See if it lands.
I got some dice around here somewhere.
Yeah, we should just play D&D right now. And
Let's
we
not
all
even
play
talk
as
about demons. Let's just... yeah, maybe we could do a demon-themed game night.
Yeah.
Dungeons
Talk
and
about it.
Demons.
Dungeons and Demons, yeah. He is considered an evil demon, but has been used to help humans ward off other demons, and was especially powerful in protecting children or pregnant women. Except apparently for children named Reagan, like in The Exorcist. Some pregnant women would wear bronze necklaces with Pazuzu's face to protect them from miscarriage. His rival demon is Lamatsu, who is depicted as a baby-snatching female demon. So William Peter Blatty's interpretation of Pazuzu in his book and movie The Exorcist was based on events in 1949 in Missouri concerning the possession of a 14-year-old boy named Robbie or Ronald Mannheim. Priests from the Catholic Church performed a series of exorcisms on the boy. 48 people witnessed the exorcism. A diary was kept by one of the priests. They allegedly observed a shaking bed, flying objects, strange voices, violence, and weird markings on his body. But I did read somewhere that they would not go for an interview type thing, and they also wouldn't ultimately say yes, he was possessed. They would not actually say that, but yet they did exorcisms on him. I don't know. It's kind of weird.
So here's a good place to just ask a question. Do you guys believe in exorcisms?
No, because I don't believe in hell or heaven or demons or angels.
You don't believe in spirits at all?
I do not. No,
type of
I've always
supernatural-
I've wanted to. I want to see a ghost or something. I would love that, but I don't actually believe it yet.
How about
Are
you,
looking
Rob?
for physical evidence? Yeah, that's
Or something that I can't just explain away, and everything that I have experienced is something that I could explain away, scientifically or whatever, common sense or something.
oh, well.
How about you, Rob? Do you believe in exorcism?
Well, exorcism. I'm not really 100% if an exorcism is ever going to work, because I don't know if I truly believe in demonic possession. I do believe in influence from, I guess, supernatural sources, but possession, no, I don't think that's an actual thing.
Liza?
I don't know. I'd be scared though. I'd be scared if it happened.
I'm not sure. I've seen some video clips of exorcisms, like old stuff, like kind of a lot of way before all this AI stuff and all of that. I'm not really sure. I mean, that stuff kind of looks interesting. I'm kind of with Jen. I don't know if because of the rest of what I don't necessarily believe in, probably would go ahead and negate the fact that exorcisms are real. I did think it was interesting, however, that I believe it was in The Exorcist. I watched these 3 movies kind of back to back, but in The Exorcist, I believe that there was a point in time where they were talking about, the doctors actually were talking about getting a psychologist because it was the power of suggestion, that if somebody believed that there was something inside of them or that there was something wrong with them, that the power of suggestion through the exorcism could possibly also heal that, if you will. So I thought that was really interesting. So, basically kind of chalking it up to some sort of kind of mental illness or mental breakdown, something to that effect, psychological break, if you will.
Yeah, in that, there's a documentary about the real boy from The Devil. Was that movie? That's The Devil Made Me Do It or something.
Oh yeah.
There's a real life documentary about the little boy that happened to. That's why. That's a wild documentary.
The Devil Made Me Do It. I thought The Devil Made Me Do It was the one with our people, the Warrens, wasn't it?
Yeah, the guy he killed.
He killed his landlord.
Yeah. That's a real true story.
Oh, well, you're saying boy. It was confusing because it was a grown man.
No, because what happened was the little boy was originally possessed, and then the guy had the spirit, the demon come into him, and then he said that's what made him do it, is that demon came in. But it's it's almost like the mom, or it was psychological. It was more psychological. In that documentary, a lot of them talked about more psychological things.
Well, the Warrens sure cashed in on it, as they normally do.
That's a good documentary.
You all know my feelings on the Warrens if you go back in time. So yeah, it was.
Episodes, yeah.
I did read this interesting thing, and I wonder if Jen came across this at all. But I was kind of why did this demon pick Reagan? I found some interesting theories. One of which had to do with masturbation.
Oh, I hadn't heard that one.
Basically,
not the one I read.
Yeah, basically at her age, she was experimenting with masturbation, and one of the theories is that was kind of, you know how a lot of those old movies are, how it's the, people having sex makes them more prone to be killed, the premarital teenage sex and this and that. I think that the theory that I was reading was kind of that put her at a position where it was, the demon kind of, I'm trying to find the right words here because
attracted to that or something.
Yeah, kind of
her because she was going through puberty, probably.
Yeah, so it was kind of a easy in for the demon, if you will. That was kind of one of the theories of why it chose her, because you'd be more susceptible.
Did you say puberty?
Puberty could be a demon. Pretty bad for some people.
That show. That show Big Mouth. You know what I'm talking about?
Oh, yeah. I actually didn't
think
about that.
There is puberty demons.
Yes, there is.
That show.
Puberty demon. I do remember. I actually saw that myself. I do know what you're talking about. So, Jen, did you have anything else to add about The Exorcist?
I did read somewhere something about it didn't exactly. I mean, it went into Reagan, obviously, in the movie, but its real intention was to try and get at the priest, because I guess it doesn't normally invade children, but since they're so much easier to invade or possess, that's why he did that. That was just a theory I read.
Yeah, I read the same thing, actually. That was one of the other theories I read, that it was kind of trying to get at the priest and harass the priest with...
It does make sense, since that priest was in, the Iraqi temple that the archaeological dig site was. And maybe he did something there that the demon didn't like. So, found a way to get back at him.
Yeah.
And then, actually, the demon entered the other priest, but the priest was saying, take me, and
Yeah, like he was willing, I guess.
Yeah, he went right inside of him.
I mean, I think, honestly, what was it, Linda Blair? Linda Blair, is that her name?
Mm-hmm.
The girl?
Yeah.
The actress.
Yeah, she did. She did a great job for a child actress. We were talking about child actresses the other day and how much homegirl there, Jen's favorite, how much she wasn't great. Clarissa Explains It All or whatever.
Melissa Joan Hart.
Yeah, how she was such a terrible actress even as a teenager
really
and never got any better. But Linda Blair, man, I mean, like that must have been a wild role for her age, you know, because just all of the vulgarity and the like, just contorting and just it. I mean, I don't know. I think it was very well done. I mean, I think she did a great job. Her acting when she was like an innocent girl with her mother was all like a little cheesy, but like when she became a demon, pretty good. Definitely
Have you ever seen The Exorcist 2?
I've seen them all, and it was so long ago that you could tell me all they did was eat blueberries, and I wouldn't remember.
Linda Blair is also in Exorcist 2. You probably already know that. But it is not one of my favorites because you were just saying like how sweet and innocent and kind of cheesy she acts, like when she's not a demon. Well, that's pretty much how she acts in almost all of Exorcist 2, which I didn't really care for that much. But Exorcist 3, though, oh yeah, everyone should watch that. That's some good stuff.
Yeah, that's
that's a good sequel.
That's so strange that she acts so well as a demon, but not as a normal person.
Yeah. It says a lot about her.
Yeah, I think so. She's like probably pretty old now.
If people do watch Exorcist 3, I'm gonna say I think the prequels are better.
Oh, the
Really?
Exorcist
If
prequels?
anyone's seen, there's Dominion and Exorcist: The Beginning.
I haven't seen those actually.
Beginning just came out, didn't it?
Wait.
Or no, that's Believer.
Believer. There you go. I was like,
Believer,
wait, no.
yeah.
And I do get the two prequels confused a lot of the time. Because they came out like back to back in like a year or two from each other or something. So I don't really remember which one is which, but I do remember they are by far superior. In my opinion, I love them. Those are my Exorcist movies.
I haven't seen those, so I can't comment on those. But have you seen Exorcist 3? Right.
I
Too
have
long
a
ago?
DVD, but I think it was way too long ago. I don't remember it at all.
So Exorcist 3 is Jen's recommendation tonight.
That's going to be on my short list.
Yeah.
So.
I rewatched it not too long ago, and I was just like, whoa, this is so awesome. Like, there are some scenes in it. There's a monologue in it that is amazing. And there's definitely that very famous scene in the hospital. That's really cool. Like a mental hospital.
All right.
We're definitely going to watch it, and we're going to talk about it again because there's a lot of demons to cover here. So,
yeah.
If you guys are okay with Exorcist, kind of interesting because I do want to compare and contrast how these guys work, but in order to do that, I feel like we need to move on a little bit. So, next on my list, I have Drag Me to Hell.
Yeah, let's talk about the Lamia.
So, Drag Me to Hell, if you haven't seen it, is Christine Brown, Allison Lohman, has a loving boyfriend, Justin Long. I love Justin Long. Now I've got to edit that. And a great job at Los Angeles Bank. But her heavenly life becomes hellish in an effort to impress her boss. She denies an old woman's request for an extension on her home loan. In retaliation, the crone places a curse on Christine, threatening her soul with eternal damnation.
As urtog sayon belit.
Christine seeks a psychic's help to break the curse, but the price to save her soul may be more than she can pay. The release date of this one was May 29, 2009 in USA. It was directed by the one and only Sam Raimi. It was distributed by Universal Pictures, Lionsgate, and Maingate Pictures. They made $30 million, which is far less than Exorcist. The music was by Christopher Young, and it was produced by Robert Tappert and Grant Curtis. I'm going to go ahead and say the first thing that I think about with Drag Me to Hell is I love Drag Me to Hell because it's got that Sam Raimi feel. And Sam Raimi is amazing at doing horror with the cheese and the comedy and the scary. And it's all like somehow he puts it together in this way that's just like a masterpiece, in my opinion. Yeah. I just feel like he always... It's like some of the stuff is like even a little silly, but somehow it really works and it fits.
All of it just blends perfectly.
Yeah,
that's
it's a good balance.
His perfect style.
I would say
a lot of times it doesn't mix as well. If you have like a comedy horror, usually like it's not scary at all, just kind of stupid most of the time.
Or it's not funny at all.
Or, yeah, one or the other.
Yeah.
Or both. But I feel like Sam Raimi definitely has perfected it. He is the master, in my opinion, of the comedy horror.
I mean, I even feel like Sam Raimi movies have their own feel, like a Tim Burton movie does. Like, I feel like when you're watching, like, a Sam Raimi film, it's got this certain vibe or feel to it. It's got a certain something about it that you just... And you know that there's always going to be some kind of scene where some kind of bodily fluid is being spit out of something in somebody's mouth, eyes, or...
Did I get any in my mouth?
Oh my God.
Did I get any in my mouth?
Which we definitely got some, and that was probably one of the most horrific things ever, imagining that old lady just in your mouth. Like, it was absolutely hideous.
I loved
face
it.
Just gumming you.
Oh yeah, that was nasty.
So I may have a different opinion about this, and I understand the movie needs to go how it goes, and I guess realistically, if we're completely going by the emotional aspect and just like caring about people and totally putting everything that we know about the greedy corporate America aside, she probably did the wrong thing, not giving this woman another chance. But at the same time, I was just watching this again earlier today, and I kind of feel like the old lady overreacted in a way, because quite frankly, like I don't think any bank would honestly give you like a 4th or 5th extension. Like I was kind of watching it and I was like, damn, like why would you even think that was a possibility at this point? Like you're like 90 years old, you're asking for another extension. Like banks aren't going to do that. I don't know. I mean, I'm sorry, but no businesses these days like, tug on the emotional, coattails and all that, or whatever, apron strings, whatever you will. I don't know. I feel like it was kind of like a totally normal thing to happen. Like, I feel like, it says that she was trying to impress her boss, which maybe she was, but at the same time, like, would she have given her that extension anyway? Like, I mean, you're kind of bad at your job if you're just letting people just not pay their, like, loans.
Well, I kind of... What was her name? Christine? I kind of liked her. Yeah. I liked her until she killed the kitty, and then I wanted Lamia to just destroy her.
Yes,
that might be
why.
why.
Anybody that knows Liza knows that if there's an animal, especially a cat, killed in a movie, it's going to be...
And the way that little kitten just looked up at her, and he, like, trusted her so much, and then she just killed him. I was like,
No.
I was just about to say, she did nothing wrong.
But she did. She killed the kitty.
In the original, like in the very first instance of her being cursed, like the old lady just, I am a proud woman, I beg of you, and then you shame me. She's like, no, she didn't shame you. You shamed yourself, old lady. Like,
yeah.
I don't know. It just seemed like an excessive step to take.
Yeah.
For someone that's applying for their 3rd or 4th bank loan extension.
Yeah, it was. That's why I'm saying I think it was like really. At that point, I don't know if she did anything that deserved what she got. As for her character later on, I can't speak to it. I mean, I really do think the cat thing was her trying to survive. Obviously, I mean, she loved her cat. I don't think she would have killed her cat if she didn't have to.
She could have done something else. She could have got something else.
I mean, all I can say is imagine what's happening to her is happening to you. I mean, I don't know how I'd feel, but at that point, I might feel pretty desperate. I'm not saying that I'm a cat killer.
Well,
that's not
see,
what I'm saying.
I kind of thought she was stupid because my first instinct was when that I liked the spiritual guide guy, but my first instinct was like, I would just give that button away.
Yeah, and I mean, that's where it was kind of...
She almost did. But she went to the diner scene and just, ooh, should I give it to this person? Should I give it to that person? Let me give it to the old man.
No, but as soon as he told me you're the owner of that cursed object, I would have been like, bye. And he told her pretty early on.
I don't know. I mean, I'm not saying that her coworker like deserved to die, but I mean, they definitely kind of made him out to be sort of worse than she was, I think. Like, he kind of was like a snaky person. Not that he deserved that 3 days of hell, but I don't know. I mean, I'm sure in 3 days you could find somebody that probably deserves it. You know what I mean? Like, there's got to be, you know, look up the sex registry in your local neighborhood and see who the worst one is or something. You know, I mean, there's probably options, I think. You know, granted, it kind of came down to the wire, and I think she needed to make a quick decision, but once she knew that, I mean, I don't know, it was made in 2009. I'm pretty sure they had Google back then. You probably could have figured out somebody that lives near you that's a piece of trash. So, anyway, Lamia, and this is really interesting, because I don't know if, like, your information, I don't know, may conflict some of my information here, but Lamia is... What I have of that was the main antagonist of the film, obviously. It's also referred to the Black Goat, which we saw that reference in the movie. And is said to be the most feared of all the demons. Lamia is notorious for tormenting its victims for 3 agonizing days before ultimately dragging them down to the depths of hell. Lamia is also a strange-looking creature, which is typically a female or hermaphroditic demon found in Greek mythology who devoured children and seduced men. She appears in literature as early as the 6th century BCE and is said to be the fearsome look upon with an ugly face, the upper body of a woman, and the lower body of a serpent. That is what I have based on Lamia.
She's a scary little snake.
I kind of really like this demon because she, like, went after the girl because she killed the cat. So I kind of did a little bit of research on her. And she kind of has, like, a sad story because in Greek mythology, so she was known, she was a child-eating monster, and later was like a haunting spirit and demon. But the earliest stories was she was a beautiful queen of ancient Libya, and she had an affair with Zeus.
Talking about the labia?
No, Libya, I think. I don't know. What's a Greek? And so she had an affair. She was a really beautiful woman, and she had an affair with Zeus. And so Hera, Zeus's wife, robbed her of Lamia and her children. So Lamia and Zeus had children. So Hera robbed them of their kids, and she, like, either kidnapped the kids or she, like, killed them. So because of this, she got upset, and she just went crazy and just, like, got any children she could find and devour them because she was so just upset about that. And then she became ugly. And so Zeus gave her the power of prophecy, and she could take her eyes out. And she had, like, Hera gave her insomnia, and so that's why she, like, you know, was kind of crazy too, and she would, like, seduce young men and feast on their flesh. And then I think this was interesting that, like, in the Greek mythology, she was like a child devourer, because it kind of makes sense with the beginning of the movie when the little possessed guy was a little kid. So I kind of thought that made a lot of sense with the Greek mythology about it. I thought that was kind of cool.
I agree with that. However, while I was asking if anybody had anything that differed from my information that I found, was that I almost wonder why, if she had a choice of other demons, why she went with Lamia. Because I don't know if that was the appropriate demon for the situation. I guess with the,
with like the humiliation and stuff?
I mean, just it didn't really seem like, the main character wasn't a child. It just kind of seemed like, I don't know, maybe there might have been a better demon.
Well, I think it kind of would make sense, because Hera kind of like humiliated Lamia, and so she knows that Lamia knows how it feels to be like humiliated, maybe?
Could possibly be it. I mean, maybe you take it one step further. Maybe she's like also seeking revenge on beautiful women or something. Or in this case,
yeah.
I don't know. I mean,
that actually makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
But I thought it was interesting that the woman had the eye thing too, and then like in Greek mythology, like she could have the prophecy and she could like take out her eye interchangeably. And I thought it was really interesting.
Yeah.
I kind of feel sorry for her.
Yeah, I kind of do a little bit.
For Lamia or for the old lady?
Lamia.
Lamia, yeah.
No, the old lady deserved all those staples in the forehead.
She was a beast, man. For an old lady, she sure could brawl. I mean, she was like getting it in just as good, giving it as good as she could take it.
She was still good after she died. She was going for it.
Yeah, she
From Hell or High Water.
Yeah, there was the second scene actually, wasn't there, where the casket fell and she ended up with more crap in her mouth, wasn't it?
It's like, I feel like that's what Lamia should be the demon of, is just like getting vomited into your mouth. That's the demon power. Or just like ooey gooey disgusting. But yeah, no, that one scene, or there's two scenes in the movie that make me think of Dragging Me to Hell, or just whenever I think of it, my brain goes to two. Yeah. One of them is the casket scene, because gross. And the other scene is the goat. When they're in the final portions and they put the demon into the goat, and it's, you bastard! It's probably one of the funniest things I've probably ever seen.
And it still works so
funny.
Well in a Sam Raimi movie.
It's perfect.
I thought it was pretty good. I thought I had a great... I loved the ending. The ending was perfect.
The ending was, I think, very well done. I think it was, like, very... I enjoyed the effects and kind of how that was all done. I really enjoyed that. Her just being, like literally dragged into hell.
Yeah.
That's pretty awesome. And it's kind of funny that the guy found... the coin after the fact, that there's that mix-up there. Justin Long, I mean, I just need to say, we all know that I'm a Justin Long fan. I love the guy. He's really, in my opinion, he's been in some great horror movies. He really has. And I thought he was great in this one as well. Jen, what did you have to add about Dragging Me to Hell? Did you have anything that we didn't touch on about Lamia?
Well, some of it you guys already covered. So I'm going to try and skip some of that. I did find it interesting that she has taken so many forms, like, throughout time. As you guys were saying, she has, like, the upper half body of a beautiful woman and the lower body of a serpent or snake.
It's more like the Greek mythology aspect of it.
And then, like, later, it's, like, talking about how she's more like a goat. Let's see. And there's other.
She is like the goat of demons.
Yeah.
Greatest of all time.
There's a other version where she has a snake growing out of her forehead, and she would use it to slide into children's bedrooms to snatch them.
That's creepy.
Yeah.
Zuzu had a snake penis.
Yeah. I read that, but I didn't write it down in my notes because I wasn't sure if I should say that or not.
We can definitely talk about
worry.
snake penises on this
I'll
show.
say it for you.
Snake penises are fine on this show.
Good to know. In the Middle Ages, Lamia was used to represent heresy or hypocrisy, and warned people that it could be dangerous in their marriage. Some parallels have been made with Medusa, because she's a little similar to Medusa. The Lamia is known to have had a particularly bad odor, especially her urine.
Jesus.
Must be those babies she eats.
Probably asparagus, if I had to guess.
Yeah, I'm sure it was that. Gotta eat some pineapple to counteract that.
Yeah.
In the 17th century, Lamia is sometimes described as having the upper body of a beautiful woman, but the lower half is more goat-like, with large, filthy testicles that smell like sea calves and covered with dragon-like scales all over.
Wow.
I don't know what smelling like a sea calf means. What exactly is a sea calf? Is that like a sea cow? I didn't get.
Do you know what a manatee smells like? Do you know what a manatee smells like? Do they smell like they come from Manitoba? Like, how many weird, ridiculous things can we just keep going off on here?
Somebody needs to Google right now what a sea calf smells like.
Yeah, I would like to know.
So we can get that answer. And then while we're doing that, you know what I was kind of just sitting here thinking about, though, is I was like, what if, right? We always talk about, like, this character versus that character, right? Like, you know, whenever we talk about movies, we're like, I want to see this character versus that character. You know what I would like to see based off of what we were talking about tonight and thinking about previous shows? I would really like to see Pazuzu's penis versus the chick's vagina and teeth.
Oh my god.
Like, I want to see what would happen there. That sounds like a killer fight.
Obviously, she would bite it off with her vagina.
But would she? I mean, it's Pazuzu. He's like a demon. Like, I feel like his snake penis would have something else up its sleeve. You know, like I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe, I feel like that would be.
Maybe it could regenerate.
Could. Maybe it could.
It's like a lizard tail.
Yeah.
I feel like what we have here is a new level of like demon porn nobody's ever come up with before.
I feel like it would just be like.
Maybe it'd just be a stalemate and they just get stuck, like the Schwartz or something. Anyway, so
nice Spaceballs reference.
Yeah, throw the Spaceballs in there. Does anybody know what a sea calf smells like? Did anybody do that while I was talking?
Well, a quick Google search brought up like little mystery squad, like little Beanie Baby things, and what those actually smell like. So,
okay.
Yeah, I'm not 100%. No,
that doesn't sound like it smelled too bad.
No easy to find answers of what they actually smell like, though.
I'm gonna take some guesses, and I'm gonna say that it probably smells really fishy, but also like gamey.
Fishy and gamey.
Yeah, like at the same time. But that's just a guess. Obviously, that's just a theory. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not. It seems like Sea Cow Mystery Bag Scent Guide. I mean, it's like I'm almost
like
it's
kind of weird.
I was like, I bet you it'd smell terrible, but like looking up a Google search, it kind of sounds like it doesn't. All right, that one's going to be a mystery. If any of our listeners or viewers out there have ever smelt a sea calf, please enlighten us. Anyway.
Share the knowledge.
Yeah, we all want to know.
Just like all the demons do.
So, Jen, what else do you have on Lamia? Do you have any notes?
More notes. I have like a little bit. Powers and abilities. Lamia can alter reality, can make its victims hallucinate, possession, of course, and opening portals to hell, which we kind of already know from the movie.
So maybe I was wrong. Maybe besides the whole child sacrifice thing or the whole child devouring thing, maybe it is pretty spot on. You know, because she did basically make her hallucinate and drove her crazy for 3 days and then opened up a portal and dragged her ass to hell.
Yeah.
Just because she killed that innocent little cat, Liza.
Exactly. I like Lamia.
Yeah.
So,
very interesting.
Little known fact, she's also a penny pincher and a loan shark.
So, if nobody else has anything to add, I'm going to go ahead and move on to Sinister, and we can talk about that movie for a minute and talk about the demon in that and kind of compare and contrast our demons, if you don't mind.
I got a little tidbit of information. Not on Lamia, but I think it's interesting. They almost cast Ellen Page as Christine in Dragon
Really?
Hell. Yeah, almost happened. But due to a writer strike, things were pushed back, and then they got the actual actress who plays Pike.
Well, if it got pushed back long enough, wouldn't she have became Alan Page or whatever?
It would have happened.
It's
That would have
Elliot.
made the movie very
Elliot,
different.
there we go. Thank you.
What is it?
Elliot.
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 Shit. Not Alan, Elliot. Well, Elliot Page would have made the movie completely different. I mean, but not necessarily bad. But I like it how it was. I mean, it's hard. It's always hard when you. It's always hard when you see those things where it's like this actor was almost cast because you're like, oh, wouldn't. But you know, at the same time, it's like when the movie is really good, you're kind of like, can you really picture anybody else in that role? It's kind of hard.
I think it's perfect.
Yeah.
I don't know. Other than, I feel like they cast, or well, not the cast, but like, the portrayal of Lamia is more like a Baphomet almost. Like, it's just weird. I don't know. Lamia is usually just snake or whatnot. They say like a half beast, and that's not the beast I would have thought. Many other things are goats. So and that's the only instance of goat is the movie. So it's just a weird. I feel like they just randomly like stuck their hand into a bag and was just like, "This is the one we're doing, Lamia." All right. Well,
Maybe that's what they did.
Fit? Nope, doesn't matter. We're doing it anyway.
Agreed.
Aside from that, I love the movie.
I have kind of a random question.
Yeah.
Does anybody remember a movie called The Golden Child?
Yeah. I love The Golden Child.
Eddie Murphy.
I love it too.
I saw that a billion times as a kid.
Do you remember that one lady that's like behind the screen, and then they remove the screen later in the movie, and she's like exactly like what Lamia is portrayed, I guess, in these descriptions. Like her top half was like kind of beautiful, and the bottom half was like a serpent.
You are the chosen one. You will find a child.
Am I remembering that right?
I started watching
It's been a long time.
Golden Child.
It's been a while,
yeah. I started watching that movie at a very young age, and I remember that part creeped me out when I was really little.
Yeah.
That and the bowl of mush with the blood in it, that was pretty gross.
That was creepy to you?
When I was like really little, I thought it was weird. Like it kind of was like
VHS.
it was kind of gross.
Oh.
Dude, my parents owned a video store when I was growing up. I saw that movie when I was like 3. Like,
Yeah.
give me a
I
break.
saw it pretty young too.
I mean,
But I was like into it, so.
yeah, well, that's because you're into weird stuff. Like you probably loved, like you were probably, you know, getting excited over there watching the stuff come out of the old lady's mouth. I mean, you know,
You're not wrong.
I mean, you're there like, this is exciting me in ways that I don't feel comfortable explaining. You know, I mean, we all know you and your weird obsession with the gooey and unnatural. So getting into Sinister, a little bit about this one before we start is true crime writer Ellison Oswald, Ethan Hawke baby, is in a slump. He hasn't had a bestseller in more than 10 years and is becoming increasingly desperate for a hit. So when he discovers the existence of a snuff film showing the deaths of a family, he vows to solve the mystery. He moves his own family into the victim's home and gets to work. However, when old film footage and other clues hint at the presence of a supernatural force, Ellison learns that living in the house may be fatal. This one was released in October 12, 2012, which is crazy because I didn't feel like it was that long ago. The director was Scott Dickerson. It was distributed by Lionsgate, Summit Alliance, and Momentum Pictures. The budget was $3 million. It says what the budget was, but this one didn't give me what the box office was, so I don't have that. Christopher Young did the music to this one as well, which is interesting. And Jason Blum and Brian Kavanaugh Jones were the producers. So this one is my favorite demon out of the three, and I think it's just I like the portrayal of him in the movie. I think he just looks awesome. He's just a cool character. I love that he can, like, manipulate pictures and things. I like the fact that he's just really cool. This one, however, is different than the other two in the sense that, Jen...
You already know I know. Is that what you're getting at?
Indulge us. What's the big cliffhanger here?
I guess what he's talking about is that it's not actually a demon like in demonology, but it's based on Moloch.
It's not a real demon.
Yeah. It might also be based on like a couple of other demons, but mainly it's based off Moloch.
Yes. That is exactly what I had as well. And Moloch was a fallen angel and prince of hell that masqueraded as a pagan fertility god. He is famous for his appetite towards children of the faith. He appears in Old Testament as a god that Moses forbade the Israelites to worship. Jen probably has more than that, but that is what I have. The ones that she's talking about that other connections made to is probably Baal and Balak.
Yeah, I also got that too, and I was like, I don't know how to pronounce that.
Yeah, how do you pronounce T-L-A-L-O-C? How do you pronounce a T and L together?
Maybe it's just silent?
Tlaloc.
Say it again?
I think. Tlaloc.
Tlaloc?
Tlaloc.
Tlaloc.
Maybe we're gonna try again.
Learn some Klingon! I don't know. It's a weird one.
So those were two other pagan deities, Baal, Christian Judaic demon, and Balak, a benevolent fertility god in Aztec mythology, required the sacrifice of children in return for good crop growth.
So are those just like children-eating gods or whatnot?
Pretty much. They're all like
like all of them.
It's yeah, they all have to do with sacrifice of children. So it's not uncommon for horror villains to draw from real-world inspiration, whether or not Bagul's similarities with existing pagan deities was intentional or not. Their connections are undeniable. Either way, Bagul fits the films as a powerful and terrifying figure. I think Bagul is, like, awesome. I mean, if they made him up, like, all the power to him. It does seem like he was based off of Moloch, and I don't really know why they didn't just use that, because obviously other movies are using demons. I mean, but maybe they just felt like it'd be fun to make one.
I find that weird, too.
You know,
it's odd.
I have a theory. About that. I think that they took Moloch and they were like, well, we want him to, you know, like images and stuff, so maybe we can just kind of like change it a little and have him be kind of like Moloch's brother, because they mentioned that in my notes somewhere, that in the Sinister whatever world, it's Moloch's brother. That way he can like kind of relate to him.
The big thing with Moloch and Bagul is Bagul was trying to do the exact same thing with pulling worshippers for demons devouring children and pretty much. And so Moloch cursed Bagul and like shut his mouth with like endless ashes, which is why he looks so weird in the movie with that closed mouth and whatnot. But yeah, no, I do like what you're saying, giving him a power to live within pictations of himself or whatnot. So like the mosaics, film eventually after so much time had passed, but like, you know, statues, things like that he could come forth from that and gave him power. Yeah, no, I like that. I didn't really think about that doing a little bit of research until you mentioned it. So I do like that specific way of why they used him as a brother of Moloch.
Yeah.
So.
I think they did a good job.
The Rob seal of approval on that one.
Yeah. They did a good job in, like, kind of changing it, but, like, kind of keeping it demon historically accurate. I've got to choose my words wisely, because it's not really like demons are real, but, you know.
Following the demonology guidelines.
Right. I thought it was really good. I thought it was super scary, but I think as far as I can think of anything, I thought it was pretty original.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Sinister in general is probably one of, I don't know, I feel like it's one of the best horror movies that I've seen. The way they do it, the way they shoot it, there's only, I could only think of like one or two minor things that I would change myself, but I think the way it's done, like cinematography of how they do the shots, the sound in it, everything is just so well done. A lot of love went into that movie. The creators who made it really went out of their way to make it as good as they can. Honestly, the only thing I don't like is the depiction of how Bagul looks, like with the weird mouth, and
really,
it's not necessarily that. Like when they show like the picture of Mr. Boogie under the water, like that's pretty good because it's like you don't really know, you can't really see it, but then in certain scenes, you know, it's showing like the children in the attic, and then you just see this head go, just to try and jump scare you. I thought that was just, I don't know, kind of, whenever he shows up, other than taking the girl away in the final scene, or like when he shows up in the other Super 8 films, like, those two parts are good, but like when he's there for jump scares, I think it's just awful. I don't like that. That's like the only thing I don't like about the movie. Other than that, it's...
So you're talking about even like
10 out of 10.
Are you talking about even when Ethan Hawke was like on the computer and his picture was moving? I thought that was awesome.
That was that part.
That was pretty good. It's like
cool.
the weird, like he comes out of nowhere and jumps into the screen. Like it's so weird.
Like a photobomb.
Yeah,
well,
pretty much.
Demonic photobomb.
I mean, demons can be fun too, Rob.
I thought it was terrifying, and right after we watch it, Jake loved to send me pictures of him.
Yes, I did.
And that terrified me a lot, so I thought it was
Liza fell for every jump scare there was. Liza was fun to watch horror movies with because a lot scares her, so I usually like torture her with most of the ones that I think are the scariest. But I will say, like, to piggyback on what Rob was saying, I do remember Sinister came out around the same time because I remember comparing them at the time. Came around similar times to The Conjuring and Insidious, and I also remember that because I was like, what's up with all these, demon possession movies where, they're three movies with one-word titles, and I thought that was really interesting. But they were all horror movies around the same time, and I think Sinister blew the other two away. Like, I didn't care at all about Conjuring or Insidious, because Sinister was just so good.
I agree. Conjuring, though.
I didn't get into the Conjuring movies until we started, reviewing them at the beginning of Psychopinion.
Yeah, and even then it was pretty much just so I could talk a bunch of crap about the Warrens. So, there was some interesting things that came from that, though. I mean, there was the report of what was it? It was the one guy, wasn't it, that was being sodomized by the devil. That was interesting. And then there was the girls that were smelling each other's farts, and they're like, "Oh, stop it!" And it was like supposedly the smell of
like you got
dead flesh. By the devil. So I don't know, man. I'm not the biggest Conjuring fan. I have the movies. I watch the movies for the show. I may watch them again in my lifetime, but I mean, Sinister is something that I will probably watch numerous more times in my life. I didn't even think the sequel was that bad, and I know we're not really going to get into that because we didn't really watch the sequel, but the sequel to me was even pretty good. But the idea of, like, and I even have the stuff here, I mean, I don't need to go over each one of them, but people that haven't seen Sinister, the most interesting thing is, as I said when I was doing the description, is that when you move into the house, you basically take on the demon. You are pretty much kind of at that point property of the demon, if you will. You're cursed. So each one of these things, there's, the pool party is 66, the barbecue of 79, lawn work of 86, sleepy time 98, family hanging out 2011, house painting 2012. That's what these videos were called. And it was basically creative ways that one of the children, and that was the other interesting part, is Bagul only took one of the children. In most of these cases, there was multiple children in the family, but there was always one that he focused on. It was interesting in Sinister how they kind of gave us the old switcheroo, because for a while there they made us feel like it was the one kid who kept, having his night terrors and waking up in the box and all that creepy crap, and then ended up not being him at all. But it's interesting because then once these people move, that is when the curse happens to them and actually kills them, and then that new house becomes the catalyst for the curse to move on when the family moves again, which the families are going to keep moving because obviously Bagul is there possessing and making things weird, and people are like, I want to get out of this situation, so they leave. That's what they found out at the end from Officer So-and-so, and which is what he was called in the movie. That's why I said that. And I just thought it was really interesting. I've never really seen a movie with that, so to me it was also kind of a new concept. I've never seen the idea of the demon being, him moving so much, if you will, him being so mobile and kind of doing house after house based on kind of attaching to these families. Also, it was ironic because the guy was a writer and he was kind of, trying to find that next big story and became that next big story, essentially. But yeah.
Yeah.
Ethan Hawke, great movie. I mean, it's definitely one of my favorites. I was very happy when we talked about Sinister, and I actually debated it because we were going to do demons, and I wanted to do 3 real demons. But I just really like the portrayal. I disagree with Rob. I love the portrayal of Bagul, and I really wanted to cover it because I just thought it was such an interesting movie and how the possession is. So kind of comparing and contrasting these 3 movies is sort of what my idea was for this show, and it's interesting the fact that, it seems that there's a lot of focus, the possession is different, if you will. The possession is different in each movie. In The Exorcist, we have the classic possession, I feel like, the one that, goes inside the one person, and they become basically, like we see in all the other Exorcist movies, they're talking in tongues and flailing around the room and have supernatural power and everything. The second movie was more of a harassment haunting, if you will, more of the seeing the delusions and kind of having the just kind of having your world turned upside down. You don't know what's real, you don't know what's going on, you're kind of put in this whole situation where you can't control anything around you. But she herself was not really possessed. It didn't seem like not only did it not seem, but I'm pretty sure the demon was not inside her. It was more around her, kind of more sort of just affecting the environment around her. And then the last one was more based on the child, and it wasn't, I don't know if I would necessarily even say it was possession as much as influence. It seemed like Bagul really influenced the child, not necessarily possessed them. But also, because of us watching movies, we're trained to kind of focus on the main character a little bit, and it was not the main character that went through with, or had to deal with the possession, it was his child. So it was almost interesting in the way that the demon used the child to attack the family. Because I'm sure even though the demon collects children, I'm sure part of the demon's shtick or enjoyment probably would come from destroying and murdering these families, because otherwise he would just take the child and go. What's to stop him from doing that? So,
one neat thing about Sinister is Bagul gets his power from devouring the soul of the child that he's supposed to take. But yet all the children that have been recently taken with him, what was the first Super 8 footage was 66.
It was Pool Party 66.
Yeah, so what is that? 50 years, all these kids are still kind of haunting around. So it just seemed a little bit weird, because I feel like Bagul was, I don't know, devouring the souls of the family, and then keeping the soul of the child to be their slave almost.
Oh, yeah.
So it just seemed a little bit weird how... Or maybe they didn't have, like, the facts right, because, you know, any type of demonology, it's hard to get your facts 100%.
Well, Bagul is made up. Bagul is made up.
But still,
yeah, so...
like, maybe that's why it was so different from what it was supposed to be. Because I don't think, well, in, like, the movies, it seems like there's 0 survivors. Or, well, in the Super 8 footage in the movies, there aren't any survivors. So it seems like it's very hard to tell what Bagul actually does.
Well, I think that's exactly what it is. I think and when I hear devour, when I hear about a demon devouring a soul, I actually kind of picture that. I actually kind of picture them taking ownership forever of that soul. So to me, I would say almost like a more metaphorical devouring, if you will. I would imagine that he would have the souls of these children. Because, you know, not to mention the fact that maybe also that is part of the history we're dealing with, or part of the, you know, lore that we're dealing with, is the fact that his mouth is closed by the ashes. So devouring, maybe the best he can do is collect, because he can't devour, and maybe that's kind of part of the thing, is that, you know, typically when we think devour, we think of oral. You know, orally devouring something, if you will. But in his case, he didn't have a open mouth because it was closed by the ashes, as you said, Rob. So I'm kind of thinking, you know, maybe second best thing is to collect the souls of children if he couldn't actually devour them literally.
Yeah.
Okay.
Good point.
I mean, that's just kind of where my mind went, and you know, I'm not big into adding the whole narration as Rob is, but in this particular case, I'm very interested in this one, and I thought Bagul was really cool. I thought aesthetically he was very cool looking. I mean, honestly, I like the fact that he was like, I don't know, it's like he was like demon, almost like, I don't know, there's almost even like a little bit of clownish characteristic to him a little bit, in my opinion. Which we know I'm like obsessed with that. I mean, it's just, I thought he was really interesting looking. I thought the aesthetic was very pleasing. I mean, he was kind of a handsome demon too, you know, very well dressed, and you know.
And I did call him Bagul the Juggalo when I was watching it with my buddy.
Nice. I like that.
So there you go, that clowny aspect. I mean, and I can't even really tell you why I felt that way, but he was, it's interesting too, because the nicknames, I want to talk about that for a second. He was Mr. Boogie.
Mm-hmm.
And we had Captain Howdy in The Exorcist, which is also interesting because I don't know if you guys have ever seen the movie Strangeland.
Yeah.
I know Jen's seen just about everything, but Strangeland was... The Strangeland is a movie that was basically...
very different.
Don't look for great acting if you watch Strangeland. I'm going to tell you that right now.
Yeah.
It's not that kind of movie, but Twisted Sister did a song called Captain Howdy, and Dee Snider made a movie called Strangeland where he played a character named Captain Howdy who would basically lure young girls, teenage girls, to his house, and then he would do body modifications on them, you know, without their approval or consent. He would pretty much kind of bond them and pierce them and do all kinds of crazy things to their body, so their mouths shut, and pierce their breasts, and all kinds of crazy things. You know, sometimes...
almost like Hellraiser type stuff.
Yeah, he was really... His character had tattoos all over him. He was very...
Hellraiser light.
Yeah, he was very kind of demonish looking. I mean, imagine Dee Snider with tattoos all over his face and all over his body and piercings everywhere. And that's the character you're dealing with. And in that movie, he used the name Captain Howdy. So I thought that was kind of interesting. Obviously, I'm pretty sure he probably took that from The Exorcist. You know, for sure. But just kind of a side note there. I thought that was. I mean, I wouldn't recommend Strangeland. I'm not recommending that as my movie because it's very poorly acted. Dee Snider is not an actor. You know, he does a couple of good songs with Twisted Sister, but that's about all I'll give him. Yeah, so it's kind of interesting, these, like, almost childish, and I feel like that's almost kind of the point, is these are, like, the childish names given to these demons, almost to, like, I'm not going to say humanize them, but almost to play down what they are, if you will. You know,
well, also, it might be kind of hard for people to say the proper, like, verbal inflections and specific articulations of, you know, these gigantic, you know, demon names. Like, is it Beelzebub or, like, Morgoth, Mogul, Mogul? Like, it's hard
Uncle
to specifically...
BB.
Yeah, exactly. So, Mr. Boogie, the Boogeyman.
Yeah. See, I took it as like relating to the children, like kind of almost like a nickname to make it fun for, like, oh, it's just Captain Howdy, you know, like, oh, hey, look, it's Mr. Boogie, you know, like those aren't intrusive names. They're not scary. They're not, you know, they're not something that's going to raise fear. I think in people when you hear Captain Howdy and Mr. Boogie, it's kind of almost like, you know, if, you know, I don't know, like
it's like the Disney Channel version.
Yeah.
of demons.
I'm
in
Mr.
a way,
Boogie, and you're watching the Disney Channel.
Yeah.
I hate to make this connection, but I almost like feel like it's something like a predator would do. You know, like a child predator, like oh, it's okay, I'm Uncle Bob. Like, you know Uncle Bob. Uncle Bob's
Dr.
great.
Disrespect.
Like, I'm okay.
Yeah.
You know, kind of giving the kid a, like, oh, like, I feel like it... Do you guys get what I'm saying? I feel like it makes a connection for that child that makes it more fun, that makes it less threatening. Less threatening is what I'm looking for. I've been looking for that for a minute now. You know, where, you know, it's a lot different. And those two in particular, Captain Howdy and, you know, Mr. Boogie, those two in particular were involved with children. So it's, I feel like it's that, it's predatorial, in my opinion. It's what's that other word they use a lot there? It's conditioning. It's you know,
grooming.
Well,
grooming. Yes, grooming. Like, oh, you know, Mr. Boogie. Mr. Boogie's not gonna hurt you. Mr. Boogie's a good guy. Everybody loves Mr. Boogie. Come on, I'm Mr. Boogie. Give Mr. Boogie a hug.
He's your secret friend.
Yeah, I'm a good guy. I'm a fun guy. You know. You know, and it's interesting because that even reminds me as far as like John Wayne Gacy, you know, dressing like a clown and trying to do kids' parties and stuff. It's like a lot of predator mentality to tone yourself down, make yourself less threatening. So anyway, that was my take on the names. I just thought that was interesting because I thought about that as I was watching them. I was like, there's like these really childish names for these guys, and that's my theory as to why. So, plus, like Rob said, some of these things are very hard to say. I mean, children probably would have a hard time pronouncing Bagul or, you know, Pazuzu or things like that as well. So,
and some adults.
Well, there's the TL.
Yeah.
I mean,
I could even try that one.
Like Rob said, it sounds like I'm speaking Klingon over here, you know, or something. You know, making sounds out of letters that don't belong together. In the American language, those letters have no business being together. We don't speak that way. Anyway, I regress. So, what else do you guys have? Do you guys have anything else on Sinister or any other ideas about how you felt like these movies related or maybe didn't relate? Because I just thought it was interesting, the comparison of kind of different demons. And when you look at the categories of demons, that's really what a lot of it is. They all kind of fit into these different areas and have different things. I mean, demons are like the saints. It's like the opposite of the saints, if you will. Like how there's like a saint for everything. There's like a saint for good travel, and there's a saint
also
for
a demon for everything.
Yeah,
yes,
like there is a demon for everything, and so it's people. You don't see people worship those. Nobody's going to be like, oh, I'm going to pray to the demon of the sky that I have a good flight, because he might just be like, you know. And,
well, if you do, make sure it's Pazuzu if you're flying from the southwest to the northeast.
Demon wind.
Yeah.
That's true.
It'll protect you from the plague as well, so when you're traveling, you're not going to get COVID. Wear the medallion of Pazuzu.
Yeah, there you go.
And I almost feel like also in the research, and I don't know if I know Jen did a lot of research, and I know all of you guys actually really did for this one, but I almost feel like some of the demons that I found and that I researched, and like I said, there's so much to get into that this could be a 10-hour show, but it's like some of them almost started out the same way as saints as well, kind of in the same respect as Pazuzu, where it was more of also a protection. It was more of a, almost a protective spirit, if you will. And that was kind of interesting to me, that they weren't necessarily, it almost feels like when they all came out, good and bad was very gray.
Evil is an abstract! It's a human construct! But true to his irresponsible nature, man won't own up to being its engineer, so he blames his dark deeds on my ilk.
You know what I'm saying? It was very, you could have a bad spirit protect you from something just as much as a good spirit in some cases that I came across.
Yes. I came across that as well.
I mean, in just my general knowledge of demonology, it isn't... There are some that are just pure bad, but a lot of them do have, the two sides of the coin. It's, even though, a lot of times, Leviathan is, a lot of self-empowerment, but it's also learning. So even though, it is also muchly tied to envy and all these other, bad things, there's always that duality, for a lot of these demons, and it's just different. A lot of people would say, oh, demons, they're all bad, and it's no, it's just different, in my opinion. So...
Well, I mean, in that respect, people that worship Satan, I've talked to Satanists before, and a lot of people really do believe in the good of Satan, quite frankly. A lot of people believe that, worshiping Satan could be help you with success in life. It could help you with things like that. They're not really thinking about, the damnation and everything that, the Christian side of it's thinking about. And, I mean, who knows, who knows what it really is.
Satanists are interesting because, especially with the Church of Satan, which does worship Baphomet, Baphomet is more of, the god of balance, almost. And, I think a lot of the Knights Templars worship Baphomet. But the main purpose of, or at least the American Church of Satan, is a counterculture movement against these extremist Catholics and Christians that almost plague the United States with their hate rhetoric.
Yeah.
And so, for people that are Christian, that hate and abhor and deny anything that's foreign to them, to the point of condemning, almost getting violent a lot of times. I mean, look at Westboro Baptist Church and what they do. That having a specific group of, or a specific religion that will say, well, instead of banning these books because these specific people don't like it, we're going to fight for the rights to keep those books available in libraries because they're not that bad. They just mention something that isn't really anything at all. Now, I feel like the Church of Satan is more of a counterculture to fight back against something that has become corrupt over time.
So
and once again, that is Baphomet. That is why Baphomet exists. It's the good and bad, the balance.
The middle of the yin and the yang, if you will.
Yeah.
So that brings up an interesting point, and we're not a political show, and I'm not trying to make this about politics, but it reminds me of the climate today. So kind of what we're talking about in a religious aspect with demons, angels, or good or evil spirits even, is we're really talking about, in the middle, there probably is that balance of the Christianity and the Satanists in there, but then you're talking about you got the extreme lefts and rights, if you will, just using that example, where you have the people that are the Satanists that want to sacrifice virgins and children and do all these blood rituals and everything, and that would be like your extreme on one side, and then you have the Christians on the other side that are so Christian they basically hate everything that's not. And it's like, you kind of have those two extremes that really, I mean, I feel like that's almost what we're talking about when we talk about like angels and demons, is the extremes, the absolute no gray, no middle ground, no balance. Is that kind of what you're getting at there, Rob, sort of?
Well, I mean, I don't know a whole bunch about, like, the angels and celestial theology of, like, what does Metatron stand for? And, like, everyone knows, Gabriel and Michael and all these, other ones. But I don't know how well they focus on a middle ground. But there are a lot of demons and very powerful demons that do focus on kind of a good and bad middle area. So it's something for a lot of people just to give a little bit of extra mindfulness to, is demons aren't just that full opposite side. There's a lot of gray in there.
And now we are going to go. We're going to go to our commercial break, which is Rob convincing us to join his Church of Demonology.
Well, I think it's interesting because even like with I don't want to bring this up, but even like just with serial killers, like even with serial killers, they have their morals.
You want to bring up serial killers? What are you talking about? You're the serial killer person. I don't want to bring up serial. You've been dying to bring up serial killers. Go ahead.
But even they have their morals. Even they have their boundaries. Like some of them won't do this or some of them won't do that. And I think it's kind of interesting when you have two sides of just beliefs or anything. I think just listening to people, even though they have such drastic views, most of the time they just kind of meet up. Like they just go for a circle that they just meet up. And I think that's interesting when that happens sometimes, because even though they just have such extremely different views, their mindsets are almost the same.
Yeah. So I don't know why, but that just reminded me of 310 to Yuma, where, you guys seen 310 to Yuma?
I love that movie.
Okay. That reminds me of 310 to Yuma, where,
I love that movie too.
Who was it there? Who was the main guy?
Christian Bale, I think?
No, not Christian Bale. I wanted to say Gerard Butler, but it's not. It's, Gladiator there.
Russell Crowe.
Yeah, Russell Crowe. Crowe.
Yeah,
so there's the scene, and threw the guy off the horse, or shot the guy off the... He did the thing to the one guy, and then they were like, why'd you do that, or whatever, and he was like, even bad men love their moms. I don't know, it reminded me of that, because it was like... Because Liza was talking about how, like, people have their limits, it's like... You see it all the time in jail. It's like, you have people in there that are straight up murderers, but, like, sex offenders, like, they're the devil, you know what I mean? Like, they will... Even though, like, they have committed these horrific crimes, it's like sex offenders are still just something that they cannot stand. And sex offenders get, a lot of times murdered in jail, if not at least seriously abused, because everybody's got those limits. Everybody's got the thing, the good or whatever it is inside them that, they stand for, I guess. But with that being said, and I mean, I'm not trying to knock them all. There's bad apples in every bunch, but I mean... Some of the people that I've seen be the most quick to judgment and say the most horrible things are some of the people that claim to be the most Christian. I mean, that's just something I've experienced in my life. You'll see a Christian just be like, that dirty or something, and it's like even talking about somebody that really didn't do anything but it's like, you're just kind of like, isn't the whole thing behind Christianity like the love and acceptance and finding Jesus and I don't know. I don't think it was necessarily to judge people so viciously and so quickly. But now we're getting on a whole other thing. So back to demons. Yeah, all of the
Join
demons.
My cult.
Join Rob's cult. He has the balance with the demonology going on. So. Yeah, I mean, overall, I think it's really interesting, and I mean, I almost think it'd be fun some other time to pick a couple other movies and compare them as well, because it is interesting how the different demons kind of do different things. And, I mean, I would love to on another show. I don't want to make this one go on forever, but I'd love to on another show even get more into the, you know, kind of the demons and sort of what they stand for and what the, you know, we've talked a little bit about the classifications and kind of what each, you know, that there are demons for everything. And I'd like to get into that a little bit more on Demons Part 2. So let's look forward to that. What do you guys got on this topic? Is there anything left? Jen, are your notes dry? You squeezed every last word out of them?
I mean, I have some notes. Some of it is also what you've already said. If we're still talking about the ghoul.
Talking about everything demon.
Fresh that we haven't talked about?
I
think I'm pretty well saturated on what we covered.
Oh, I have one thing that was kind of funny.
There we go. Give it to us, Jen. After this, can you read us a poem about demons that you wrote?
I don't have a poem about demons. I have that psychopomp one that I already told you about.
That you won't read.
That I will not read on this podcast, even if I find it again. I'm not going to read it on here.
How about this? I got a great idea. 500 subscribers, you read us that poem.
Okay, maybe. Yeah.
All right, you guys heard it here first. She said she would read the poem. All right.
The funny thing was I just happened to come across somebody on Reddit talking about, like, how would you defeat the ghoul? And they said, just don't have kids. Because it has to have a kid.
That's interesting.
Yeah. I just thought it was kind of funny. Funny enough for me to put it in my notes.
You know, they didn't talk about this in the movie, but now that you just said that, I'm going to throw a little, like, fan theory out there, because, so, realistically, when you move into this house with your children, you start to be pretty much kind of tortured by the ghoul, if you will. Like, the things that are going on. You start getting all of the scariness, you know, the haunting.
Yeah.
So, if you look at this, Lawn Work 86, Sleepy Time 98, Family Hanging Out 2011, House Painting 2012. These dates, maybe that's what happened there. Maybe it was a single person or couple that lived there in that time, because there's a huge gap between 86 and 98, and 98 and 2011.
Yeah.
So, just a little fan theory here. I'm guessing maybe a childless family lived there, and there was nothing for Bagul to grab onto.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, wow. That's
So somebody could have moved in the house in 86 and lived there till, say, 97, and then 97, here comes the Martins, and the Martins move in, and hey, they've got a child. And well, actually, no, 98, the it was Christopher Miller in St. Louis. Got it right here. They moved into the house, and then, you know, Ghoul's got something to grab onto. He's got something to take on. So actually, that fan theory on Reddit, I think, is right, but wrong. Like, if you could only have single people live there for the rest of their lives, it might stop the ghoul, but I think that he's just dormant while there's no children.
Maybe the kids need to grow up and hit puberty, so then they can be under the essence of, you know, the masturbation demons or whatnot.
That's also a good point. It did look like the kids ranged in age, though, a little bit, to me.
Not by a whole lot, though.
Maybe not by a whole lot, but there's definitely some kind of difference between the little one and the big one. I mean, I don't know what kind of age difference we're talking, but I mean, there's definitely some variation in height and looks, even a little bit. I mean, it could be 8 to 14, I don't know, or 9 to 12, but I mean, I did feel like there was some age difference. They weren't all 13, you know?
Yeah.
So, very, very interesting. And I mean, that might be a great theory. Maybe that's the whole thing and, you know, the ghoul is just dormant when there's no children. And it'd be interesting almost to see what would happen if in a sequel, or even it would have to be a sequel, I guess, but it'd be interesting almost to see a family move in there and then have children. Kind of watch that process, you know? That'd be kind of an interesting movie to see where it goes. You know, is the child talking to Bagul at 2 or 3, but then Bagul waits until they're 7 or 8 to make his move. You know, kind of where are we at with that? I think that'd be really cool. So if you're listening out there, Hollywood, I got a great idea for you.
Make another Sinister.
And have a childless family move in and have children. Oh, and even then, like, what about, like, I wonder if they had, like, a really good friend that stayed over a lot. Like, would it affect them at all? You know, or could they be even, like, the chosen one or something? I don't know. There's so many interesting things about how it works and doesn't work that this is what I would say is a fun, you know, interpretation and conversation about a movie unlike Longlegs. But there's a lot of, you know, things that we could discuss and...
After someone stays in the house for years and years and gets one of their family members to come by, oh yeah, bring the kids, they'd love it here.
Yeah, bring the kids, and then they're gonna drown us all in the pool later with concrete bricks on our feet.
Pool party.
Make a water garden.
Pool party 66.
Yeah.
I do kind of want some T-shirts with like the different Super 8 names, and then like have like the Super 8 reels on it. So like Sleepy Time 98.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. That's another good idea. Somebody needs to be watching this just to get some ideas.
11.
Family hanging out. What, did you get the same thing I did? You got like all the notes over there.
79.
Look at this guy. He's got the same thing. Yeah, that'd be awesome. I mean, like
I loved the names of the reels. I got a list right here.
They sound like such fun family videos.
My favorite is Sleepy Time 98. That's
Sleepy Time 98.
I just want to show this as Sleepy Time 98. I'm a napaholic.
Very fitting for you. If we make T-shirts, that's the one you're gonna wear.
I'm doing the Sleepy Time 98.
Yeah. We should definitely, if nobody else does, we should definitely make T-shirts. We could have the whole family hanging from a tree, and then just have family hanging out 11.
Oh, I could have like our faces on it.
Yeah.
The hanging people's faces.
I don't know if I want to be.
Or all of our faces.
I'll be the child standing next to Bagul. Y'all can be hanging from the tree. Don't put that on me.
Little devious Jake child there with the little soul or the pole saw.
It'd almost be fun at that point if we just made it cartoony.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Jen, you got anything else?
Not really.
Liza, what
I mean,
you got?
I have a little bit on Moloch, but it's not that cool. I mean, I can read it if you want.
Or Moloch or
Moloch or however you pronounce it. I say Moloch, but anyway, he's mentioned in the Bible several times. He has often been portrayed as having the head of a bull and his hands over a fire. He is associated with child sacrifice. In the book of Leviticus of the Bible, it is forbidden to offer children as a sacrifice to Moloch. He is also associated with the Minotaur of Greek mythology, or Minotaur. Is it Minotaur or Minotaur?
I was heard Minotaur. Minotaur.
Anyway, he also appears as a child-eating fallen angel in John Milton's poem Paradise Lost, as well as several novels throughout history. That's all I have on Moloch.
All right. So we got a really handsome bunch based on all these descriptions. I'd like to see them all, like, hanging out when they're not doing anything. I think they, like, hang out sometimes just on, like, their day off and they go to the beach or, you know, hit a ball around in the lake or something. Like a beach ball. You know, like, I don't know. That'd be fun. Yeah. Liza, do you have anything pertaining to demons?
No.
All you have is that you're not going to watch The Exorcist because you are scared. And the girl deserved to die and drag me to hell because she killed a cat.
A kitten.
Kitten. Yeah.
Poor kitten.
I don't know. I mean, I don't want to kill a kitten, but I don't want to, like, get dragged to hell either, so... I don't know. Well, I'll deal with it when I get
3 days to find something else. She could have killed, like, I don't know, something else. A bug or
Would you have taken the button for her to not kill the kitten?
Probably, yeah.
Oh my God,
and then I would have found somebody else.
So lame. I would have came over and given me the button, jerk.
Jake, I found this super rare button. I think it'll look really great on your new coat.
Yeah. Like, actually, I was making this coat for Rob, so, yeah, it'd look great on there.
Cool.
Sweet coat.
Rob, what you got anything left on demons?
I mean, for the 3 that we've been talking about, not really. I can go on and on about demons, though.
Well, that's why
I feel like we should save what I do have for future episodes.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna go ahead. I know Jen was recommending Exorcist 3.
Yeah.
And
I'm
I know
right back off that and doing Exorcist the beginning.
Okay, so we have 2 Exorcist recommendations. Liza, do you have a recommendation?
I do. I can't think of that documentary, but it was the true story about the guy from The Devil Made Me Do It. I have to find that. But it was pretty good, though.
Wasn't it like The Devil's Road or something like that?
I
think we talked about it on the show, actually. Or no, The Devil's Road was it was the documentary about the Warrens. I think. Yeah. So I think I watched that, and then I Warren some more. So,
thought you were going to recommend the Pazuzu Vice documentary.
Yeah.
Which I did watch, yesterday. It's really good.
You watched it yesterday? Oh.
Yes!
it's called The Devil on Trial.
Devil on Trial.
Yeah.
We have Exorcist 3. We have Exorcist Beginning. We have The Devil on Trial.
The Beginning, Exorcist 3.
I am going completely off the rails tonight with my recommendation. Matter of fact, my recommendation isn't even horror. My recommendation, if you haven't seen it, because there's a lot of great knowledge to get from this movie, and even though it may be portrayed in such a way that it doesn't seem like it's true, actually a lot of it really is, accurate in a very funny way, and I'm going to go with Dogma.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Because Dogma is a great movie that deals with angels and God and demons, and there is even a poop demon.
Sweet Christ, somebody, what's bad?
What is that thing?
An excremental, big old goblin.
A what? A demon!
Don't you mean Alanis Morissette? No, I mean it's God, not the poop demon. I wasn't expecting you to say poop demon at the same time.
Wasn't Alanis Morissette the poop demon?
No.
She was not the poop demon, guys. Isn't it ironic? Don't you think? So, with that being said, I usually end with a quote, but I kind of started it with a quote, so we'll just go back to that, I guess, and that's, Jesus then asked him, "What is your name?" And he said, "Legion, for many demons had entered him." And we will discuss more demons in Demons Part 2, Search for Redemption for Demons. Thank you all for tuning in. Have a great day.